and let us all do we can to build a better future.
So, recently, Joe Rogan brought this up on his show about big tech. That's right, we're talking about tech. They're talking about how there is a lot of madness and stupidity. And look, I get that everyone has an opinion, especially in this day and age where everyone has an opinion. People make mistakes, dumb stuff happens, but Joe Rogan decides to call out and slams woke big tech employees as mentally ill. So Joe Rogan took aim at woke activists, employees of large Silicon Valley tech firms, calling them mentally ill and lunatics who are running the asylum to a certain extent. Rogan made the comments on his Spotify podcast during an interview Wednesday with Antonio Garcia Martinez, an ex-engineer at Apple and Facebook, who parted ways with the iPhone maker after employees complained of misogynistic writings in his book. Again, let me go ahead and get that fixed right there. During this segment, Rogan asked Martinez what it was like to work for a large tech firm. For someone from the outside, we look at it and say, how are those effing places being run, Rogan said. Continuing on, the stand-up comedian then said that he had a conversation with a good friend who was in management position at Google before leaving the firm for another large tech company. The way she described to me, it is utter madness. The lunatics are running the asylum to a certain extent because there's a lot of people working inside the company now that legitimately are mentally ill and they consider themselves activists, according to Rogan. Now, if we wind back the clocks just a little bit, just a tiny bit, we can actually see firsthand that, there were a lot of Spotify employees that were really upset when Rogan went onto that platform. Mostly had to deal with the fact that Rogan had some controversial guests on his show, but in this day and age of having a successful podcast, who hasn't had a controversial guest? Who hasn't had, a show that raised some question marks? But the thing is, there's been this super fast rush of censorship. And it's just not only impacting people like Joe Rogan, it's impacted a lot of people because you have everyone getting on their platform saying this person should be silenced, this person should be canceled, this person should be ignored, this person should be demonetized. But when you open up that Pandora's box, you're putting everything and everyone on a chopping block. Censorship is never the answer, in my opinion. It's not the right thing to do. And sadly, we are stuck with a system where you have the two-party system that's fully on board with silencing and suppressing those that have a different opinion or a different perspective. Look at what happened to RT America. Everyone there that contributed all that great work, silenced because of this ridiculous conflict in Ukraine. And then number two, let's look what happened to The Hill. For 7 days, an American source, media network, was suspended for 7 days. Madness and stupidity. And if we look back even further, what happened to the New York Post when it came down to the Hunter Biden laptop? Now, I understand that when Trump won the election in 2016, a lot of people's brains just blew up. I knew walking out of the Wells Fargo Center after being in Philadelphia that there was a 50-50 chance that Trump could win the election in 2016. But that shouldn't, especially with the Trump presidency, it shouldn't remove everyone's ability to be a critical thinker. But I think that's what it's done. And look, that crazy orange boogeyman's going to run again in 2024. And everyone's so uptight about, well, how should big tech run itself? Because right now, big tech, especially YouTube, and the amount of times we've been censored, they're acting like publishers. If they want to act like publishers, well, then YouTube isn't that private corporation anymore. They're becoming something else. I want to continue on with it. He added that tech bosses at these companies have to placate the workers because there's a certain percentage of the population that works for the company, and they're the loudest, and they often don't get work done. Rogan said that when these workers are confronted over not getting work done, they talk about their activism. He said his friend was forced to reprimand tech workers by telling them, "You are here for X amount of hours per day. This is your effing job. You are not an activist." Martinez told Rogan that the companies are partly to blame because workers are encouraged by human resource departments to bring the real self to work. He described big tech firms like Facebook as kind of like a cult since employees are brought to a campus lifestyle where they do your laundry for you and feed you. Oh man, that'd be great. Hey, FaZe, Write this down. When we buy the 99 Perspectives building, we got to have someone feed us, and we got to have someone do our laundry. That's a good idea. I like that. Yeah. Wait. By the way, I want my jackets dry clean, press, and nice, neat and clean. And if it's not done properly, I will snap. I will be like, how dare you? How dare you? No, I won't do that. Already I can see Daniel typing in the chat. Kit, we're not hiring people to do that. We are not hiring people to do that. We are not. Sorry, Daniel. Sorry. That would be funny, though. That would be fun. That would be fun. I'll be like, no eye contact. Don't you make it. What?
That makes me want it now.
Oh, hell yeah, FaZe. Well, you got FaZe a cold cup of coffee. Don't look at him. You look at the floor. Anyways, gotta be serious. Gotta be serious. Facebook was a cult, and I joined it, and I was happy, and I was a happy member of it. Martina says it was very powerful. Everyone sacrificed themselves for the sake of the empire and its emperor. That is awesome. Okay. Anyways. Rogan has been a frequent critic of tech firms for censoring and deplatforming those with viewpoints deemed outside the mainstream. Spotify, which signed Rogan to a 9-figure licensing deal, was pressured to dump the controversial podcaster after rocker Neil Young and other artists removed their songs from the streaming platform. Rogan has been accused of giving platform to skeptics of the pandemic, vaccines, and the lockdown measures. But again, he has denied being an anti-vaxxer, so let's face it, there's this massive wave of censorship. But I want to bring up these two videos because they're in relation to this story. I know that recently the Convo Couch had a little conversation. There was Pasta, Pasta, one of the hosts of Convo Couch, was having a conversation with Kim Iverson, who has her own YouTube channel, The Kim Iverson Show, and is also a commentator and contributor to Rising. Had a conversation about Tulsi Gabbard. But yesterday, as it turns out, Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, recently did a shadow ban on Tulsi Gabbard's account, her Instagram account. Now, as a platform as ourselves, we've dealt with censorship on YouTube exclusively. When it comes down to Facebook, not so much, but whenever we posted original content there, it never got a boost. But when we posted articles from reputable sources, it got a boost then automatically. Instagram, we haven't really dealt with that much, but there is a shadow ban feature on Instagram. And when I went to try it out, I couldn't find her account. Now, her account's still there, but it was impacted by the shadow ban. And I'm not on board with this. I hate censorship. I hate shadow bans. I hate when content creators are demonetized. And I believe in free speech. Let's play this first video if we can, FaZe.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to let you know I'm being shadow banned on Instagram. Unfortunately, Mark Zuckerberg, he's blocking you from receiving or being able to see many of my messages. And this mini tyrant is also deprioritizing my name and discover and search pages, and making it so that if you try to @mention me, you'll get a warning thing that says, hey, this account is spreading false information. But they haven't given me any examples, or anyone for that matter, of what this false information might be. Now, we're all going to continue to live under this dictatorship of big tech as long as we have cowardly leaders who are in their pocket. So I'm asking you, I need your support. Join me on tulsi.locals.com and on all platforms that actually stand for free speech and democracy.
All right, it's going to be repeating itself, but I want to pull up another video just to kind of explain what shadow banning is. So while we get that set up, look, again, when it comes down to, again, former politicians or current politicians or anyone that has a platform, I don't like the idea of removing people. I was against what happened to a person named AJ. Can't say his name on YouTube because YouTube is, well, pretty much a punk at this point. YouTube wants to silence certain names, but when he was removed in 2018, it opened up a Pandora's box of other people to get hit with censorship. Same thing what happened with Donald Trump. And when he was removed off of all social media platforms, I have no idea who thought it was a good idea, but do you think the removal of Trump is going to remove him and all the millions of supporters and voters that he had? That won't do it. What you're doing is creating further echo chambers, and I'm against censorship in all forms. I was against the censorship what happened to The Rising. I'm against censorship what happens to Ford Fisher or Convo Couch or Mikasu Casa Network, Status Coup, anyone. I'm against censorship when these independent content creators or anyone is silenced or removed. It causes a concern for me because I know that hard lens media could be potentially ended. And it's something that I'm against. I'm against these strikes. I'm against shadow banning. I'm against all of it. And yet big tech is acting like a publisher because big tech has been afraid of what corporate media will do to it, and also for the fact that you have the two-party system to contend with as well. It didn't have to be this way. If we can, let's play this next video.
Since this morning, I've gotten some questions from people who are not familiar with the term shadow banning and are asking exactly what it is. So I want to take a minute to show you. For example, when people try to type my name into the search box on Instagram or the Discover box, my account does not show up. Whether you type in Tulsi, Tulsi Gabbard, it literally does not show up. I'm also getting a lot of reports from people who are trying to at my name, at Tulsi Gabbard, and mention me in their Instagram stories or posts, and they're getting a warning that says this account has posted false information. Obviously, they're not providing us or whoever's trying to post this examples of what this misinformation is or what exactly they're talking about. People try to tag me in an Instagram post and they get an error saying, we are restricting certain activity to protect our community. What are they protecting their community from? Nobody knows. Another thing is just with my posts, I would say that with the numbers of views and the numbers of likes, they're down. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea of what shadow banning is and what the effects are. You know, I was talking to somebody yesterday saying, hey, how come they're allowed to do this? I know very well that these big tech companies have a lot of Congress in their back pocket. And so while you'll hear Democrats and Republicans railing against, suppression, maybe, I don't know actually what the split is between Democrats and Republicans, but you'll hear politicians railing against, the power of big tech monopolies and something's got to be done. Well, Congress hasn't done anything yet. And big tech money is the reason why. So as long as we have these cowardly leaders in place, I don't anticipate any real change. So if you are not already, I encourage you to join me at tulsi.locals.com. You'll get to see everything I'm posting directly. No chance of censorship. This platform celebrates free speech and democracy, and I encourage you to join me there or join me on other platforms whose mission it is to uphold free speech, uphold our First Amendment rights, and protect our democracy.
All right. So again, everyone's going to be impacted by it. And I'm not asking people to, here's the thing, folks. Here's what I'm not going to ask you to do. I'm not going to ask you to ever silence or suppress anyone or call for a cancelship of any person, because that's hypocrisy. The whole idea of hard lens media is to shine a light on corruption and also call out hypocrisy. Look, corporate media, big tech, the two-party system, they're doing everything they can to control the narrative. It's not the first time we've had to go through this, nor will it be the last. But there's something fundamentally wrong with how big tech like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are running the show. And I want to give a shout out to my colleague Daniel Lupker, who brought this up in the live stream chat. In order for us to reach out to YouTube, we got to go on Twitter to reach out to YouTube. Interesting enough, when we're on Odyssey and Rockfin, and whenever there's been any kind of issue, especially when we first got started on Rockfin and Odyssey, we could reach out to a person, and we had a human being reach right back to us. YouTube is a whole other different animal, and they got to change their way. So far, they are the largest video platforming site here, and that's got to change. And I do have hope for Odyssey and Rockfin, but there's a bigger message here, and that is, we have to ensure that content creators, no matter who they are protected, and that they are not going to be demonetized or silenced because they're going to cover a subject that's already being covered by the media. And the 6 times we've been given a strike, especially for Hardlands Media, first strike had to deal with whistleblowers. Second strike had to deal with the story that Kira McCown covered, which YouTube deemed offensive, and there was offensive imagery, even though she was reading a report. The third time we got hit, and even the 6th time we've got hit, because YouTube was saying that we were against the election. Biden's the president, YouTube. We never said that, and we had plenty of evidence for that. That's how sick this system we have is now. Another video that we had was taken down, and the title of that video was basically I was saying that Jimmy Dore was right on the Justice Democrats. That video had 3,000 to 5,000 views on it last I checked. It was between that number. That video was removed by YouTube because they said it didn't fit the community guidelines. The other video that got hit was when we were covering how CNN was smearing Joe Rogan, and YouTube was saying that I was giving medical misinformation. Something's got to change. The video platforming sites, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram as well, need to change. And whatever kind of environment they have there needs to be a separation between work and activism. I'm not asking anyone to change their mind. But when I walk into 99 Perspectives, into this studio, to sit at this desk, when Daniel and everyone else comes here, Lainey, Kira, FaZe, we got to be professional. We give you guys the stories that we're covering. We expect all of you to make your own opinions. And yes, we have our own opinions too. Yes, we have our own biases too. But I'm not going to use this platform to start browbeating and yelling at people what they should think and what they should feel. And that's what big tech is doing. That's what corporate media is doing. And that's what the two-party system is doing. Walk away from it, break away from it.